Thank you for staying with us. This week, President Bola Tinubu described the accidental bombing of locals in the Tunubiri community of Kaduna State by the Nigerian Army as very unfortunate, disturbing and painful. This was as he sympathized with the families of the victims, the people and the government of Kaduna State. Tinubu's grief was conveyed in a statement signed by his special advisor on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngalale, titled "President Tinubu condoles with Kaduna State government, families of victims of a bombing mishap." Also, as regards the unfortunate incident, the Arawa Consultative Forum, ASAF, and Sultan of Sokoto have called for an immediate probe. A military drone attack had killed over 80 people in Tunubiri of Igabi local government area of Kaduna State. Now, joining me to discuss this is none other but my very, very fantastic friend, Justice. That name escapes me. OG, no, fantastic. It's good to have you on the show. Now,
it's a pleasure.
Fantastic. Now, all right, I might be very swift to quickly, connect with my Zoom guest, as I've been told already. With my Zoom guest right here is none other but a very, very foremost individual. And he is really standing by to give us some very insight into this. Joining me to discuss this, Aminu Kago, Lawyer Secretary, Nigeria Bar Association, Benin Kebbi Branch. Aminu, good to have you on the show this evening.
My pleasure.
All right, now, President Tinubu has ordered a full probe of this disaster, but what really could have caused the catastrophe from your point of view? Because we understand that there was a bit of miscommunication with the situation that actually ensued at that particular spot. But from what you have assessed so far over the week and all the stories that have been making around, what have you come up with? What's your submission on this in its entirety?
Well, first of all, my submission is it is indeed painful, as pointed out by Mr. President. However, the issue is also disappointing for the nation, going by some of the recent developments of similar kinds, which are not very far in our memories. So what I would say, as we mirror from the views of people on the street, is that this issue, and in law, there is a responsibility that is attached, duty of care, to even personnel that handle rifles, not to talk about bombs, which are categorized as destructive devices, which all the times cause major destruction. So I will lend my voice to what the Arawa Consultative Forum is saying, and also the Sultan of Sokoto, that there should be a probe. And this probe should be which the personnel at least should be, there should be a sanction, because loss of over 85 lives, whatever mistake is, that is one that needs to be taken care of. So whoever is at the fault end should receive some sanction at least. But this said, I would also commend the Nigerian Army, because this is one of the maybe very first times we saw an institution in this country coming out to immediately honor and take the responsibility of committing such a mistakes. So this is, in a nutshell, what I would say, because the issue of Mutunji and Sadao Zamfara is not far in our mind. The also Nasarawa State's quarterly issue is not very far in our mind, which was also an airstrike. And furthermore, I would advise that Nigerians really want to see a synergy from the Nigerian armed forces. Because when this incident occurred, the first thing that I heard in the House of broadcast was that the NAF has distanced itself from the bombing. Then immediately the Nigerian army came and on it. The ordinary people are not abreast with the nuances in the Nigerian Air Force. All they see them as one. So we think that there should be a very good synergy, that we should not be having these two different districts, because this thing, they wither down the confidence, the confidence that the citizenry would have for such institutions. So this is the much I would say for now.
Okay.
maybe later if...
All right. With what has happened so far, the army has shown empathy to a very large extreme. And they vowed never to allow this happen again. But then, what should be done to restore confidence after this costly mistake?
I would say what will go there to restore the confidence is, first of all, I know the federal government have undertaken to rebuild the town completely with a hospital and what have you, but all the same, those lives that are lost deserve to be compensated. And I know also the Kaduna State have come in and give assurances of that compensation. So I also think that this compensation will go a long way. But that said, the report that will come out of this investigation, some people have to take responsibility. It is a drone attack. It is a drone attack. So when you look at it, these drones, they can be armored and they could be for reconnaissance. Now, before anyone can think of using a lethal weapon on a drone, one will believe that there must be a reconnaissance, first of all, before such bombs were dropped. So I believe at the end of the day, this is a mistake that some people have to pay for it. No doubt about it. I think that will request confidence, because even in the military, anyone will think twice before using such weapons, and their role of engagements, I know they will hold to them dearly if sanctions are meted to anyone who is at fault in this circumstance. I think that is not demanding too much for the lives that were lost.
All right. I mean, from what you have outlined so far, it's very obvious and clear you have detailed a few issues that should be tackled. But is there ever going to be an end in the war against banditry and Boko Haram insurgents? Because the more we think about it, the more worried we get. It seems like it's getting complex every time. And from your point of view, do you see us getting out of this anytime soon?
I'm an optimistic person.
Okay.
And no matter how long the night, I believe we will have a day. So I think it is difficult indeed. It is difficult indeed. But for me, I see that I believe it can be won over. But really, it's not just a military issue. And I think there must be a good intelligence. The intelligence should be very strong. And also, I think when the public have that confidence, I believe we can win them over. I want to bring a situation. I know the military are facing a great situation because this Maulid program you are talking about is a religious gathering, but it is known to all that one notorious bandit called Turji of Sokoto have at one point organized such an event. But the issue is that at that moment, when he organized that event, even the chief of that village, he is the one that enthroned him after dethroning the lawful. So at times you find that our people have no choice but to be subjected to the authority of such bandits. In such cases, even if we follow the bandits, there's no way a carpet bombing can solve that situation. I know it's not an easy task for the military,
right,
but for the best of the military to come out, it has to have the confidence of the citizen, because the vital information should be coming from the citizen. Thank you.
All right, thank you very kindly for your contribution on the show this evening. We really appreciate your presence and your time. Hopefully we would reach out to you some other time when we want to actually get your views on certain issues bordering on the nation. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
All right. Thank you for staying with us. The more they say, the merrier, and for the judiciary, the more judges available in the court, the quicker the dispensation of justice. The National Judicial Council, NJC, has recommended the appointment of 11 justices to the Supreme Court. A statement by the Director of Information at the Apex Court, Sojiuyi, said the recommendation was made at the 104th meeting of the Council in Abuja. The recommended candidates would be sworn in after the approval of their recommendation by President Bola Tinubu and the subsequent confirmation by the Senate. With this, the Apex Court will have the full complement of 21 justices as envisaged by the Constitution. Joining me to discuss this is none other but Justice Ojino. He's a lawyer and, of course, lead partner, Eco Solicitors and Advocates. I see you're smiling with glee from every angle.
I'm happy.
This is your turf.
Yes, yes.
And I feel very, very happy having this conversation with you. Now, with this new story that is making the rounds with the justice world, what impact would this have on the judiciary?
Okay, I think it's a good one. For me, I feel it's salami. I call it salami tactics. I think it's an addition.
Absolutely.
And I may not be able to blame the president for all the logjam that we have in our judiciary. It's because I think it's a constitutional thing. 21 justices of the Supreme Court is the maximum that the Constitution allows pursuant to sections 230 and 231 of our Constitution.
Okay.
But what this will do is, to a large extent, it will decongest the humongous number of pending cases we have at the Supreme Court, which is about 7,000 at the moment as we speak.
Okay.
And for me, I still think that the total number of justices at the Supreme Court is still not enough to quickly dispense justice. I feel that one mega solution will be that all matters don't end up at the Supreme Court. Okay. If even we have 21 justices, let's even make it practical.
Okay.
At all times, the least we can have, number of justices we can have at the Supreme Court determine one case out of the about 7,000.
Let me quickly take you on that. You said all matters should end up at the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Then what should be done to have the matter, stop at, the lower courts for cases to be dispensed at once? Why is there always a delay, and why is there a need to always... But people would definitely want to challenge their cases. If I don't feel comfortable with the judgment you have given to me, I want to go to the Supreme Court. So would people be stopped from going up?
Okay, the reason why all matters currently end at the Supreme Court is because the Constitution allows for it to be that way. The American judicial system actually has just 9 justices of the Supreme Court. The American population is much more than the Nigerian population, more than 300 million.
Okay.
And the average American is more litigious than the average Nigerian. But they don't have this backlog. And the simple reason is because they allow that all their matters should stop at their court of appeal. They call it a circuit court of appeals, the equivalent of our own court of appeal in Nigeria. Any matter that needs the special attention of the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court in the U.S. will issue what is called a set or a certiorari for the matter that has been assumed final at the Court of Appeal for them to reconsider, because we must always remember that the Supreme Court is a court of policy. It's not necessarily a court of law in the manner of speaking, because most of the matters that the Supreme Court adjudicates over again, it has already adjudicated over again.
So are you advocating that a new law should be enacted to have cases stop at the appeal court?
Absolutely. That is the quickest way out of this. No matter if even we have 50 Supreme Court justices, we'll still have the situation that we have at hand.
All right. Now, we understand that owing to retirements and debts, the bench in the last 3 years has continued to experience depletion, raising concerns among litigants and Nigerians. Now, in general, how soon do you think we will start benefiting with these new justices that have been installed?
Immediately.
Okay.
Immediately. And I say it again.
Your immediately sounds convincing, but it's not heavy.
It's very, very convincing.
Okay.
I'm very, very sure that it's going to be immediate.
Okay.
But will it be as fast as we desire, as the business community desires, as the political community desires? Maybe not as fast.
Okay.
Maybe not as fast, even though it looks to me that it is only the politicians that seems to be enjoying it the most now, because everything is on hold and politics is being given speedy adjudication by the judiciary. All
right. Finally, the Nigerian Navy arrested 17 people said to be engaged in the illegal siphoning of crude oil in Ondo State. Navy spokesman Commodore Adedotun Olukade, of course, Ayovon disclosed this in a statement saying the suspects were nabbed at a forward operating base Igbokoda. Consequently, upon further search and interrogation, Ayovon said it was further discovered that the vessel had on board 17 crew members of the Nigerian nationality. Still with me to discuss this is Justice Ujenan. Justice, it's obvious. Now, the Nigerian Navy has arrested 17 people said to be engaged in illegal oil bunkering as always. Now, how did we get here grappling with oil thieves and sea pirates? What's going on?
Everybody just wants to grab what it looks like. What definitely is they didn't deserve. Everybody just wants the quick way to wealth. I think that is the reason why. Because people are saying it's because people are the whole economy is hard. It's hard for everybody. But why is everybody not stealing? It's because some people just want the quickest way to wealth. But again, it's also a call for the government to actually engage the youths with jobs, because of course, as he said, the idle hand is the devil's workshop. But if even everything is provided for a set of persons, it still does not mean that we won't have bad eggs, we won't have criminals. And I think that is the situation in this case. I'm very, very happy with the Nigerian Navy for new development.
Yes. Now, you've highlighted a few things. The only issue I have right now is crude oil theft is so rampant in this part of the world. Do you think the government is doing enough to defeat this issue? Do you think that, because in most countries, in countries that are very serious, this magnitude of oil bunkering is punishable by death? But in this part of the world, we just seem to be, we're patting it on the back. Do you think we're doing enough to actually curb it?
For me, I think that the government is doing a lot. But is there a lot enough? I will answer that in the negative, because one of the reasons why, for example, in Saudi Arabia, they boast that they can track even the tiniest drop of oil in their system is because they have accommodated fully the use of technology in the way they monitor their production and, of course, dispense.
Wait, is it about accommodating the full use of technology, or the cooperation of the country to say, this is our gold mine, we are going to protect it to the best of our ability and get everything we need to get to make our country great?
Technology will help with that.
Technology will help,
but the bad faith actors.
But if there is no concise cooperation that we need to make this better, your technology might come and still not work.
It's a multi-pronged approach. Technology will come in, then national orientation or reorientation will come in, then a lot of the boys that are involved in bunkering will be engaged. Then the military too will be further equipped in order to be able to deal decisively with people who bunker. Then within the military, the fifth columnists within the military, within the Navy too, will be dealt with. And private sectors too, just like it's been embraced in that space. The Tompolo and all are being engaged to be able to. The multi-pronged approach will definitely make the situation a whole lot better.
I do not dispute some of these things you're saying, but there are conversations have been rife that, look, if we start to encourage modular refineries, where we get to engage these people to have modular refineries to refine this crude, maybe we might not just be having this bunkering as rampant as we have it. So do you think that approach could work?
Fantastic. That's also a fantastic idea in the mix. Modular refineries, and the fact that we shouldn't have too much length between where the wellhead is and where it is being transported to, or where it's being refined, because the longer the pipeline, the more it is prone to being tapped or stolen.
Vandalized.
So these are some of the ideas that, of course, security analysts have always talked about.
Now, I understand that critics say oil theft is enabled by big Nigerians and compromised men of the armed forces. Do you agree?
100%. And that's why I mentioned in the approach that fifth columnists, even within the ranks, because it is quick money. It is very, very quick money. Maybe a person who, maybe in the Nigerian armed force, who is not nationally or spirited, or who is not patriotic, can just say that, okay, his accumulated earnings over the course of his career may not be more than 50 million, 100 million, and he just sees a deal or a bunkering deal where he can make home with 250 million, 500 million.
That's quite worrying.
It's too tempting. So that is why even the anti-corruption agencies, the ICPC, the EFCC, and every other, the police, the special fraud units and all, should also be called into the mix. People who have assets whose roots cannot be explained, they should be nabbed and be made to explain in details how they came by these assets. And all. Maybe if we take all these approaches and we are committed to it, I think we'll be in a better place.
Okay, now, but we understand that whatever is happening right now is having an adverse effect on our economy. Shouldn't this be enough for us to take a stand and say enough is enough with this oil theft and bunkering?
Absolutely. But the challenge is the fact that the average Nigerian is not even perceiving that he is being robbed, because every Nigerian is being robbed with every drop of oil that has been purified by a person who is not supposed to have it, because all the revenue is supposed to go into the national kitty, and from the national kitty is supposed to be distributed in one way or another, maybe by way of infrastructure or healthcare provisions to the average Nigerian. So maybe because they are not seeing it directly that they are being robbed, maybe that's why everybody is not crying foul. The day we start seeing it as a commonwealth, the day we start seeing that, okay, I'm being robbed personally in this way, they will be able to frontally come up and work together with the authorities, at least the well-meaning persons amongst the authorities, in order to be able to frontally and holistically deal with these bad faith actors who are just greedy and selfish and just about themselves to the detriment of the nation.
Justice General, I want to thank you so much. Very kindly.
My pleasure.
It's always a pleasure having conversations with you right here. And of course, that's our show for today. Remember, you can follow the conversation on our social media platforms at TVC News NG or on our website at tvcnews.tv. I am Mark Otabo. Good evening.